What's happening, disc golf fans, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, welcome. I'm here with another disc golf adventure. Let's get into it. All right, here we are. We are in Cartersville, Georgia, at Gatewood disc golf course, and this is one of my top 5 for sure in the state, for sure. I love this kind of course. It's established in 2022, and it's about 6,387 feet in length. It's a 20-hole course, and it's rated 22 in the state. Man, I think it's much better than that. But I like wooded courses, and a big shout out to Zach Anderson and Andrew M. for some of the photos that I'll be using here today. But it's a very cool course. You can see the map here and the way that kind of leads up to the course and the hole itself. It's somewhat cart friendly, restrooms and drinking water available. And again, here's a look up, walking up to hole 1. You can see the map on the left. And this is gorgeous. UDisc has it as 340. The sign says 313. So I know it's hard to get the exact numbers in the woods like that, but I mean, sometimes that's quite a difference. But good looking shot at the hole, to the first tee. And here's a look at the tee signs. And like I said, you can see the sign, what it says, 313, UDisc at 340. Anyway, you can see the baskets up here with a slight turn on to the right. And, it's up to you. Get some further distance with a driver or, fairway driver, but shape through these trees and to get to the basket. It's dog friendly, like I said, cart friendly, not stroller friendly, because you're on some wooded area. So here we just look at the basket, looking back toward the hole or toward the tee, and moving on. Hole 2, 338 on UDisc, 342 on the sign, and you can kind of see you're going to cross that little ravine, and basket's just up there on the right, but a lot of that to get through. So you can see a nice path, a nice clear gap, and a nice line that you're looking through. You hit that fairway and get up there. So again, mid-range putters, they won't kick away from the trees as far, but you won't get, mostly the distance you need. Again, looking at that gap right in front of you. Pretty cool. And here's just another shot of you looking at the approach to the basket. So if you hit a tree and end up somewhere in here, this is what it's going to look like. Not from experience, I'm minding. Yeah, and then of course looking from the basket back toward the tee and toward the fairway. Not a whole lot of guardian trees around it, but just getting there is always the challenge. But yeah, it looks great. Moving on, hole 3, here's a sign, and you are throwing over a little bit of water. I love this part of it when you're just throwing over a little cove, and you can see there that it's 238 on UDisc, 242 on the sign, so it's not too far off. And nice looking look at the gap that you're trying to hit. And if you hit a tree and go into the little cove, most of the time I've been there, it's been pretty dry. But if you do, there's a drop zone right here. It's off to the left side of the tee pad. So when you walk around, you can see right where you're at. And now here's a look at the basket looking back at the tee pad on the other side of the cove. So pretty cool looking hole. Yeah, I enjoy this course for sure. If you haven't made it out to Cartersville, man, there's a lot of good courses over there. And here's hole 4. We've got 280 on the sign, 287 on UDisc, and par 3s, if I haven't said that all before. These are all par 3s when we get up here. A couple holes are par 4s, but here's a look at it. You can see the gap you're looking for, heading right through there. All right, and you can push through either side of that gap. This one doesn't show it as well, but here we go. So you've got a good gap on the left side. You can take the local route on the right side, or even further on this left side. Yeah, not a whole lot of room up high, but get down to this level, and you can see the basket straight ahead. The water's not too close, unless you're going to kick off one of those trees, in between. Again, putter approach at this point would be helpful not to kick in there, but the water level has always been pretty low, and really has never really come into play for me anyway. And it looks good. Here's a good shot of the basket and how close it is to the water. It's not too bad, right? I didn't think so. All right, moving on. Hole 5. It's 400 on the sign, so you can see here, and 371 on U-disc. Go figure. That's quite a bit of difference, but I know it's a challenge doing that. Anyway, basket's pretty much straight ahead. Miss the trees, get as long as you can, as far as you can out there, and I mean you're just pretty much pushing straight ahead. So there is a couple of areas in between that if you kick off the sides, you're not going to enjoy, but it's not too terrible. And yeah, you get off the fairway. It's a challenge for sure to get back. Sometimes best deals to get back on the fairway. Not so much the underbrush or anything. It's just thick. Yeah. Right. And then looking back at the fairway you just came through, again, not a whole lot of guarding trees right around it, but just getting there, you're going to kick off a few and send you in a different direction. All right. Moving on, hole 6. Hole 6, 304 on the sign, 318 on U-disc. Oh, there's that. Water, again, not really into play, but it is on the right side if you're going to, get through. Let's see, you got to go past a ravine and then over this little hill to begin with. And unless you get down there and really, kick hard off the right, shouldn't be a big problem. So there's a little hill that you can kind of see here that it doesn't really show that it's much of a hill, but you can do. You got to throw over that little rise, and then keep it going from there. And the basket's just right down at the end. Here's a look at the basket, looking back up the fairway you just came down. And again, love this course. Just look at the shots. This is just. All right, moving on to hole 7. You got 275 on the sign, 244 on U-disc. Go figure. Oh well. But you'll hear me say a lot about how nice this course is, how I love it, because I love throwing into trees. I got a special name for each and every one of them. But I try to avoid them as best I can. But you can see. Nice looking gap to get through here. You're barely pushing off to the right side when you get down a little further. If you can throw a sidearm pretty much straight till the end, that's about what I'm looking at. And you can see the basket right there in the middle. Like I said, it's just off to the right, barely off to the right for. Off the fairway there. So not a whole lot of underbrush, but man, when you get off the side, you are in thick. All right, look at the basket back down the fairway. Pretty cool shot. And there we go. All right, and moving on to hole 8. Hole 8 is a par 4. It's 422 on the sign here, 421 on U-disc, so that one nice and close. And water doesn't really come into play. It can come into play if you want to kick off a tree again and head toward the water. That does happen. Just not that I know for certain. No, but I know it does. Yeah, been there, done that. So, man, it's a challenge to get through some of these trees. You can see just over the hill, it gets thick, but it opens up good fairway. It's high risk, high reward. So you get through the thick trees and, you're blessed with the opening that you have here, looking at the basket. And yes, it is hilly, so you're looking back down the hill toward the fairway you just came up. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, I like that. All right, hold on. Looking at par 3, 220 on the sign here, 277, or 276 on U-disc. 276 on U-disc. Crazy. And maybe it plays like that. I don't know. I don't know how they figure that out. I mean, usually it's by satellite, but sometimes tell. All right, so you are throwing out to the opening. Just got to get through to the trees and get to a better look at the shot here. And so, the basket's on the edge of the opening, and not too many guarding trees there in between. So, I mean, this is it's like a bonus birdie if you can get there. And looking back at from the basket where you just came from. Pretty cool. And all right, moving on to hole 10. We've got 255 on the sign, 240 looks like on U-disc. Or yeah. And pretty much straight ahead. It's a short hole, so a few trees in between. There's a group in the middle. You want to stay to the left side of that if you can, or hyzer around the right to the left side. Basket's just a little bit on the left. And you'll see that here in just a sec. And moving forward. Yeah, you can see the basket right in the middle on the left side. And we'll get a shot from the basket looking back down the fairway at those same trees. There you go. So left side seems to be the side to go, or like I said, hyzer in from the right to the left, and you're golden. All right, moving on to hole 11. Dog leg right, and you'll see looking at the picture here in just a minute. Good looking fairway, but what you're seeing is not what you're throwing. So you got to hook to the right. You kind of stay along this roadway. Yeah, stay along the roadway, and you're good. But you got to make that hard right turn. And what is it? Hole 11, 388 on the sign, 353 on U-disc. I don't know what happened to that 30. Maybe it's straight as a crow flies. I don't know. But here we go. Better look at the fairway and the basket. So it's on around the corner. So it shows a dog leg right, but it's more of a looping turn. And nothing in your way except the turn. And a few trees in between. And moving on to hole 12. It's 444 feet, par 4. 404 on U-disc, 404 on U-disc, and it's just a little bit to the left. So we'll be throwing down that opening gap along the roadside, or along the road, and then just off the left side. You'll see here, you can barely see the basket there in that picture, but we could have better shot at it here, but it's there, just off the left side. And here we go, looking back up the road to the tee pad. Cool shot. It really is. It's a fun shot to throw, and it's not too difficult to hit the gaps. And good stuff. Moving on to hole 13. Hole 13 is a 160-foot shorty, 162 on U-disc, and straight ahead of you. It's a pretty simple shot. You just got to hit the gap. Kind of a familiar theme here. Hit the gap, miss those trees, and you'll be right there for the basket. It's better to look at it. Your approach after hitting a tree or two, and show what it looks like heading up to the basket. yeah, cool little hole. You're up on a little ridge, throwing that little in between and hitting up to the basket. Here you are looking back at the tee pad and the gap. It's all good. Cool shot. All right, moving on to hole 14. This is a 555 on the sign, par 4, and 508 on U-disc. And you can see it's a heavy left-hand turn, but it is a left-hand turn, but it's not that bad. I mean, you got a gap to hit and then start pushing it left. I didn't think it was too bad to get through. Once you get through that first gap, it kind of opens up a little bit for you and makes it a cool hole to throw. And like I said, once you get through that first part, it toward the basket, and you can see the basket there, and you'll see. I mean, looking here, nothing in between. You know, you got first gap, open area, then a couple trees, guarding trees. But then here, looking back toward the tee pad, it's wide open. But again, you got to just get through that first gap, clear that, and hyzer it right to this area and tap in. All right, hole 15, another par 4. It's 540 on the sign, 518 on U-disc, and you are looking at a bunch of junk in between and some rocks, and you just want to stay to the left side of that, and it makes your approach shot even easier, for sure. All right, so stay, like I said, stay to the left. You'll avoid the rocks and the little hill area there. And we give you a clean shot, like here. You can see right to the basket. Give you a nice clean shot at the basket, and again, not too tough, right? All right, then at the basket, looking back down the fairway, looks pretty clean there. Again, just initial gap seems to be, I think, really the main challenge. But it's a par 4, so you got an easy chance to make par. Here we go. Hole 16, 252 on the sign, 265 on U-disc, and another shot. It's going to hook around to the left side, and a few trees in between. Here you go. Look at the gap there. Not too bad. And let's see. You got a choice to make a little further with the gap. It's going to split, and left side's the shorter side, easier side. But here it opens up for you. And nice shot at the basket. All right, now looking back, again, looks pretty clear. No real guarding trees right around the basket, just the ones further up the fairway. And moving on to hole 17. This shot is 215 on the sign and 219 on U-disc. You can see it. It wants to travel to the right. You got a clearing. You're pointing toward the water. Nice woodwork around the tee pad, and but it wants to hook to the right. So remember that off the tee, and hit the gap and start heading to the right. All good. Right hand sidearm might work for you, and get a look at that shot. Pretty clean. Should be easy approach through the gap, and then looking back toward the gap that we just came through, toward the tee pad. Good looking hole. Yeah, man, love this course. Hole 18. Moving on, you got some water that can come into play, and we've even got a drop zone in case you do get in the water. It's only 162 on the sign, 142 on U-disc, and you are heading pretty much straight across that little cove. The cove doesn't come out as far as it shows on the sign, thank goodness. I'd probably be in it. I'd hit a tree and drop it, which I have done, and climbed down to the cove area. But again, water's been low enough. I've maybe once got in the water. But here's a look at the drop zone. If you miss, and that's where you're going to go and toss to the basket. All right, basket's up on a hill. Hadn't had a real rollaway, not too far down, but yeah, cool looking hole. All right, moving on. Hole 19. Pretty much straight ahead. 235 on the sign. 193 on new disc. That's quite a bit of difference. I don't get it. Somebody explain to me, please. Hole 19, pretty much straight ahead, and you've got to go over that hill, hit that gap, and you're heading out toward back toward the beginning of the course, and you'll see it here. So heading back to that, you can see the trash bin in the background, but you're just hitting that wide open basket out there. It's just hitting that initial gap. All right, and now taking a look back toward the fairway. It's kind of hard to see in that in the shadow, but again, pretty nice looking shot. And moving on to the last hole for the course, hole 20. Again, pretty much straight ahead. This is 363 on the sign, 394 on U-disc, and pretty cool shot, throwing through those trees, the initial gap, and then it opens up, and then you go into another little group of trees, some guardian trees around it, but it's really not that terrible. Just hitting the shot, hitting the gap, tossing it out to here, hopefully get close enough for a bird. If not, pretty easy par. Or find a tree, a couple trees. That happens. All right, so I hope you like what we've seen so far. Here's another shot at it, looking back at the fairway on the other side of that little opening. And I think it's a cool course. Like I said, it's 22nd. The state move it is much higher for me for sure. 405th in the country. Cartersville, man, good courses over there. And here's another look at the map just to show you what you just threw, and I love it. Definitely a course and an area you want to be in. Check it out. All right, that's all we got time for today. If you like, please subscribe and hit the like button, and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.